Family and fellow soldiers, I'm the Professor, and this is the Moment of Truth. Brittney Griner's made headlines again, so you know it's not for anything good, definitely not for anything intelligent. Brittney Griner was on the women's basketball team at the Olympics. The USA women's basketball team won, naturally, and they got the gold medal, to be expected. I mean, everybody else in the world sucks, so it would be kind of a shame if they couldn't get it. And yet Brittney Griner decided that she was going to go ahead and put on a little bit of show. You see, the Olympics has long been understood to be a place where they conduct all kinds of weird rituals. And that also includes humiliation rituals. So naturally, you got Brittney Griner deciding it's time to tear up over the national anthem being played at the Olympics. And of course, the white media, they're looking at this and going, oh, look at how grateful she is, because that's the doggone button that she's trying to push. She's trying to push the I'm a grateful Negro button. I mean, seriously, this block of wood, she's usually so high she doesn't know what day of the week it is. So while she's crying, quote unquote, the truth is that she's auditioning. She's had a rough couple of years, but it was her own fault. She went to one of the world's most repressive police states with drugs. What did she think was going to happen? Apparently nothing. I guess she figured as long as she wasn't a CIA agent or wasn't wearing a military uniform, then that meant that she wouldn't be a target. But Putin proved her wrong on that one. See, you're black. That's all it takes to become a target anywhere in the world. Black folks don't get to fly under the radar. They're always looking for something they can jam us up with. A lot of these black celebrities apparently think that they're too cute. They apparently think that they're exempt somehow, and they always found out the hard way they're not. But then again, with Brittney Griner, she was a walking advertisement for pot. Here she is with that glassy-eyed stare. She's stumbling, mumbling, and fumbling her words. Hell, the Russians looked at her and said, we got a live one here, we know it. So she spent some time in Vladimir Putin's gulag as one of his uninvited guests. And now that she's back in the United States again, she's trying to do some image rehabilitation. She saw what the reaction was from the dominant society when she got freed. They were angry about it. Hell, they wanted to see one of those white men be released before she could get out. And when they saw her getting out, they were like, oh, not before this white person you don't. Except that's what happened. And Brittney Griner was out there laying it on extra thick. Quote, I didn't think I'd be here, like I've said before, and then to be here winning gold for my country, representing when my country fought so hard for me to even be standing here. Yeah, this gold is going to hold a special place. Apparently, news travels kind of slow in Vladimir Putin's gulag, and it travels even slower at the Olympic Village. Because it wasn't her country, quote-unquote, my country. Didn't Malcolm warn you about using the word my when talking about the trappings of white supremacy? But talking about this country, it wasn't this country that got her out of there. It was black people like LeBron James and the black folks who were advocating for her. That's who got her out of Vladimir Putin's clutches. That's who did it, not her country. Because as soon as she was released, her country was outraged about it. What are you doing getting her out of there? Should have got a white person instead. That's what actually happened. Man, she's just sitting here trying to lay it on thick. I'm willing to bet if she gets to go to the White House and shake hands with Joe Biden, you better believe that Kamala Harris is going to be in the frame along with them. So she's going to milk this one for all it's worth. And don't get me wrong, I have absolutely no sympathy for these empty-headed red state rubes or these other little patriotic pansies who might fall for her little act. But the point is, I sure hope that black folks' hearts aren't going pitter-pat over this. But yeah, that's what I think is motivating this little display of emotion. Her manager or one of her WNBA handlers told her that she could touch the heartstrings of some of those bigoted viewers, or at the very least she could get herself some white media attention in a hurry if she cried during the national anthem. And apparently it seems to have at least worked. And USA Today was typical of the white media's coverage of this. Brittney Griner's tears during national anthem show how much this Olympic gold medal means. Yeah, go ahead and tell yourselves that. That's what this was about. This was just some sort of uncontrollable bout of patriotism. It certainly wasn't a PR stunt. Far be it from Brittney Griner to try one of those, right? But this is the way that they're covering it. And the reason that this is such catnip for the white media is it plays to the grateful Negro trope, because that's what she's basically doing here. She's portraying the part of the grateful Negro. I'm so glad Master got me out there. I'm just so, oh, God bless America. That's what Brittney Griner's doing, and she knows her freaking audience. They're a bunch of doggone idiots, so you might as well go ahead and play them for rubes. Ridiculous. Crying over the Star-Spangled Banner. Are you serious? I've told you about the Star-Spangled Banner's history and why it was chosen to be the national anthem. Francis Scott Key was a slave owner. He was also a U.S. attorney who prosecuted abolitionists. That's the guy who wrote the Star-Spangled Banner, a slave owner who also in his capacity as a prosecutor went after abolitionists. The Star-Spangled Banner, by the way, was not the original national anthem. There were at least 2 other songs that had served that purpose long before the Star-Spangled Banner, such as My Country 'Tis of Thee. Okay, so what changed? The same trash who fought to reverse what few modest gains occurred during Reconstruction were also the same ones who made the decision to replace the previous song with Francis Scott Key's little ditty. And they knew exactly what Francis Scott Key's past was. That's why they liked him so much. That's why they liked his song so much and wanted to make sure that people heard about it. In fact, it was Woodrow Wilson who in 1916 declared the Star-Spangled Banner to be the national anthem. That's when it actually happened. Woodrow Wilson was the one who looked and said, "Oh, you got a slave owner who went after abolitionists? Why, this guy's song needs to be the national anthem." And who was Woodrow Wilson? Former president, sure, but he was a racist from Virginia who, among other degeneracy, was an avid proponent of eugenics. He did go to Princeton, after all. Go back and watch the video that I did on reparations where I focused on the Ivy League schools if you want the rundown on that one. Woodrow Wilson was also an avid supporter of the Ku Klux Klan. He infamously held a screening of the KKK fan film Birth of a Nation at the White House and praised it as being like writing history with lightning. So this was the reprobate who, without anyone asking him by the way, just decided that he would, of his own accord, declare that the Star-Spangled Banner would be the national anthem. He just declared it. Fiat. By the way, for those of you who don't know, the term fiat basically means a decree or declaration. So basically, I'm white and I say so. But Francis Scott Key's slave-owning and anti-abolitionist past was only one of a number of reasons that this song was chosen by Woodrow Wilson and his pals. For those of you who may not be aware, there's actually 2 parts to the Star-Spangled Banner. Now, everybody knows the first part, "Oh Say Can You See, Home of the Brave," etc. But the second half of that song has been memory holed. It's never mentioned and never performed either, probably because it openly praises slavery. Quote, "No refuge could save the hireling and slave from the terror of flight or the gloom of the grave." Yeah, if you ain't willing to be a slave for these little white supremacists, nothing will save you from being killed. It's a white supremacist anthem, that's what it is. But then again, what do you expect from a slave owner who became a prosecutor so he could go after abolitionists? My point is, you didn't need to wait until Colin Kaepernick decided to take a knee in order to refuse to stand for that slave carol. And your children shouldn't be standing for it either in school. As black people, we're supposed to have more pride and more self-respect than to stand for that satanic song. And we damn sure ought to have more common sense than to cry for it. But then again, I guess it only makes sense. A slave master's hymn would bring a tear to the eye of a wannabe $40 million slave. Good day, and be one. I'd like to take a moment to mention some of our contributors. Charlie's Painting, Anthony Pollard, Neil Saphir, Bobby Ross, and Russell Richardson. Salute to them and thank you to everyone for listening, liking, and sharing this message. Black empowerment only exists because of you.